Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the All Out NRL Fantasy Podcast, Origin Eve, as we like to call it, Door, the night before Game 1 here in Brisbane. We've obviously got our Queensland jerseys on, mate, because we're going to win it, and we're going to win it easily, in my opinion. I'm going to say 13 plus. What do you reckon?
Don't know if I'm that confident. Definitely looking forward to the game, though, Cord. I'm thinking Queensland 1-12.
1 to 12? Yeah, that's a fair shout. You know, I was probably stretching it a bit there. We're saying 13 plus, but you got to back your state. And I think it's going to be a very good game. Like you said, I'm predicting a lot of points, actually. I think it's going to be a very flow attacking kind of game. I don't think defense is going to be the main question that we're going to be answering on the Thursday wrap up. I think it's going to be a lot of attacking questions being answered. But
so you're saying the overs?
I'm saying the overs.
You're telling the pundits to get on the overs for points.
I'll give a multi, and I'm not going to say what the odds are because I'm doing it off the top of my head now. But I'm going to say Queensland. I'll be generous. I'll say 1-12 Queensland. Then I'll go try scorers Ponga in like a breakout sort of game for him. I reckon he's going to have a belter and then take his form back to clubland and have a good end of the year for Newcastle. I'll go Ponga and let's go Hudson Young for some value.
Hudson Young, hold on, I'm just putting it into the thing here. So you had Ponga to score.
Yep.
And what was it, Hudson Young?
Yep.
Where is Hudson Young? It wouldn't be surprising. Oh no, there he is. $6. So it's a 3-leg multi. Queensland 1-12, Ponga and Hudson Young. Look, it is on.
It could be value.
It is on Sportsbet. I'm just trying to see what the potential returns are here for you, Cord. It's not really helping me at all, to be honest.
That's all right. Have you got a multi? And I'll whip it up real quick and see what the odds are.
Oh, there you go. I think it's. Well, if I put $5 on, it's $68.50 for those 3 legs, Cord.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah, $5. You can turn into $342.
Yep, I'll be taking that as odds for sure.
I think Queensland 1-12. I really don't mind your Hudson Young shout for a try scorer. But I'm going to probably go with Zach Lomax.
Yep.
Zach Lomax to score. And then, I don't know, potentially someone from the Maroons, should I say. Let's go, I reckon, let's go a bit of an odd one, I reckon. I'm going to think Big Tino. He's going to cross
that's
over.
out there.
I don't know what it's paying because I just sort of got off the top of my head. But yes, if that goes well, we will see what happens. Actually, hold on, Tino. While you have a chat, Cord, I'll put this multi.
Yeah, no worries. Well, it's going to be an absolute humdinger. We know that. But we do have a task before we get to Origin, and is that around 13 TLT.
$46.25.
Great injection there. We'll take that. But yeah, we do have a role here to do round 13 TLT. And the good news is, looking through quite a lot of the teams and a few of the green dots, is that most of the Origin players,
I think they've all
are backing up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they've all been named. From what I had a quick squiz beforehand, and I'm pretty sure they've all been named to back up. But look, one thing's to be named, another thing is to actually, follow through and back up. I reckon Payne Haas is long odds to play this weekend.
So do I.
But look, let's get into the first game on Friday night.
Yeah, Drags night's only game on the Friday. And I want to give a quick shout out to someone who is a fan of the pod when we get to it. But Tuipulotu is back for the Dragons, and keep in mind they do play round 15. So, there is a big in with Toby Couchman named on the bench. And I think we should make a reminder that you're only 13 players and you're starting 13 is actually getting counted again this week, a new addition to fantasy this year. So make sure your best 13 is starting. Dylan Egan obviously out. Luciano Leilua is promoted to the starting side. I want to give a quick shout out to Jack Darms. Darmsy bailed me up today saying Luciano Leilua, he's a sneaky pod. So if you're a fan of your pods, he could be playing 80 minutes plus, maybe 70 minutes plus, 420K. Look, Darmsy, I'm not going to call you arrogant here, or maybe even a slight stupidity because, 80 minutes, 50 points a few weeks ago, 69 minutes last week, 32 points. Look, is he onto something here, Dora? I'm not sure.
I don't know if I'd be getting Leilua personally for my own team, but
if
I wish
he plays
him all
80
the
on
best.
an edge, well, who knows? Maybe he's a buy for round 15.
Potentially, but I'd need to see it.
Yeah.
see it for the next couple
It's a
of
rogue
weeks.
pod
Anyway.
shout, so I feel like your pod's fair enough. And Emre Gula has been listed as 18th man, so good news for Hamish Stewart. If you've still got him, he's going to churn out some big scores for the Knights. Callum Ponga has been named to back up. Leo Thompson is back after missing last week. Would have hurt some owners. And good to see Dylan Lucas reward owners with a hat trick. Could have had 4, but a hat trick effort performance last week. And Fletcher Sharp has gone back to 5/8 after playing the week at fullback.
Yeah, Adam Elliott's out with that bicep injury as well, so Matt Croker's starting at lock.
Yep.
So that's really it in regards to that.
Yeah.
Fantasy-wise,
both teams played round 15, I believe.
Yeah, they both play round 15. In terms of picking anyone up, I don't really know. Everyone should have like Dylan Lucas and Sharp, in my opinion, if they don't have them already. I don't really think there's anyone else to really buy. We touched on Pierce Paul. Hopefully Ponga can get it going. In terms of the Dragons, look, I don't really know. Hamish Stewart probably is definitely one if you need to get someone in.
Yeah.
And yeah, Couchman coming back's huge, but it could be one to watch if you don't own him. If you obviously own him, even though he's named on the bench, still hold. But if you're not an owner, it could be interesting to see what minutes he gets. If they're going to like ease him back into it, potentially we could get Couchman in like a few weeks at a cheaper price.
Yeah. Moving on to the Titans Storm game. Again, all the Origin representatives are backing up. Harry Grant, Munster, Trent Leoro, all named despite playing in game 1. For the Titans, again, a reshuffle here. Jalen de Groot goes back at fullback. AJ Brimson back to 5'8". Kieran Foran on the bench. And Brian Kelly into the centres. Really not sure what they're trying to do here with the halves at all.
I don't like it.
Like, where does Foran get injected into the game? I'm really quite concerned with that. Brimo, I really don't know what to do with Brimo. If you're an owner like myself and personal team, look, you're just churning out shit really at the moment. It's just completely roller coaster worth of performances, 40s, 30s, a few 60s here and there, but that was with 2 tries. I've been inclined to sell Brimo this week. The only thing that's keeping him in my team is that he plays round 15. So if you want to save that trade and maybe cop what might be a 30-point score, then you're going to have to do that.
Yeah. I don't know why Brimson's not at fullback and Foran's just not in the halves with Jaden Campbell until Keeney gets back.
Don't know what the logic is.
I'm pretty sure Keeney's resumed training, so maybe he could be a chance of coming back a bit sooner than what they expected at the end of the Origin series, which was what was originally expected. But I have seen him back training, but that was only just doing running, so contact's another different thing.
Yep. Anything else there fantasy-wise, man, or would probably just move on?
No, I don't really think so fantasy-wise. Look, the Storm, they got the bye in round 15, so I can't really say to pick up any of their players, really. And Titans, look, Jaden Campbell's definitely a solid option with the Titans. They do, unfortunately, they only play the one bye round, which is this upcoming one, round 15.
I'd probably sell Brimo after that if you're an owner.
Otherwise, I think, look, Tino could be someone to get for the run home as well as Jaden Campbell. But, yeah, I don't think there's really any fantasy-relevant players there for the Titans.
I would agree, mate. For the Cowboys-West game, all 3 of the Cowboys will back up in Nanai, Cotter and Dearden. Jackson Paulo comes on for the wing for Murray Talangi. Good to see Purdue at 6 again, giving another crack against the West Tigers. He's definitely a hold. For the West Tigers, Lockie Galvin has been replaced by Heath Mason after the talk that he is probably off to the Bulldogs. Well, it could be any time soon.
Yeah,
really.
It'll be any time in the next couple of days. I reckon it will be made official, but I think it's already sort of done. Is
Heath Mason a buy? I wouldn't think so. Long term, I think it might be an Adam Dewey situation where he slots into there in the halves. We'll have to wait and see how he goes on the weekend.
Finu will come back. Latu Finu will come back from injury, I reckon, and slot into the halves with Luai. That's what I'm thinking will happen for the Tigers. So, yeah, definitely no buy for Heath Mason, Cord.
100%, mate. And for the West, else than that, there's not really much else to report, to be honest.
No, not much at all. I guess Royce Hunt starting. Tyrrell May's going to play 80 minutes or close to it. I think he's
captaincy option again.
Yeah, great captaincy option.
He took that personally a few weeks ago. Sorry to cut you off, but he took that personally.
No, you don't need to apologise, Cord. It was personal for Tyrrell, and he really teed off.
He did, didn't he?
So, look, outside of that for both teams, I think the one thing you're probably looking at is, I did touch on it last night, Scott Drinkwater, I think, is going to be someone that you probably want to look to get into your teams. The Cowboys have had 2 buys, and their next buy is the last round of the season. So they're playing like, I don't know, like 10 plus weeks probably. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
You know
8,
what? I'm
9,
going back
10,
on what
11,
I said.
12, 13. They play like 14 weeks straight, the Cowboys. So I think that, yeah, someone like a Drinkwater could be not maybe as such to bring in this week. I think he goes well this week, but his break even is high due to that deplorable performance against Manly. I think, not Labour, pardon me. I think Purdue's definitely someone that you want to hold for now. If it starts to not go great and he continues to stay in the halves, I think it's probably likely that it could be a sell eventually. But I just think he's playing, so you probably keep until after the Origin period.
Yep.
That's really it, in my opinion, fantasy-wise. You're not going to get in Jackson Paulo. So, yeah, Reece Robson, I don't know, maybe, but no, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm going to go back on what I said there with Brimson. I think he could be definitely a sell this week. If you're like me, who has Dylan Lucas, Purdue, Herbie, they can all fill that center spot. And if you after a wing fullback, where you got Teddy, Garrick, all there, who will score better than Brimo. So if you want to move Brimson on to maybe my buy of the week, who's coming up fairly shortly, then he could be an option coming up. But we'll keep moving to the Seagulls Broncos. Probably the biggest news out of TLT is that Tommy Turbo has been rested, or a corked thigh, as I like to say. But I think he's really just being rested.
Yeah, I think he's been rested too.
Cherry Evans been named to back up. Tommy Toliau comes on the wing. Tommy Travojevic, it's just a story of the season, really, with him. He just can't stay healthy on the pitch. For the Broncos, Pat Carrigan, Haas named to back up. I think I'm with you, Dor. I'd be very surprised if Payne Haas plays this weekend.
I don't think Payne Haas plays. Look, I hope he does, but I don't think he does.
No. I think you summed it up well there, because with all the injury cloud that he was under for the first Origin, for him to then back up a few days later on the Saturday, maybe if it was a Sunday he would play, but on the Saturday night against Manly, the only thing that maybe the reason why he might play is that the Broncos are coming 8th at the moment on the ladder. They're in desperate need of a win. Is Manly going to cause an upset there? Probably. Could be on the card. So if the Broncos lose, they're out of the 8.
Yeah, well, we were out of the 8, and then we got the 2 points on the bye last week. He got back in the 8. Yeah, it's good to see Benny Takura come in on the bench for the Bronx. So that's good for his first game for the season. With the Broncos, look, don't really think there's anything fantasy relevant there at the moment. Reece Walsh was potentially going to return this week, but I think he suffered like a minor tweak to that knee. He was coming back from at training this morning. So I think they're just giving him another week.
Yep.
Manly. Oh, wow. I've got some time for this guy. And I know you've got him in the different format, but my Jazzy Tavanga. Oh, I love this man. He has just been absolutely unreal. I was questioning whether I've made a real big boo-boo when I got in Jazz Tavanga. But wow, he has been really, really good. He's made 57K last week. Like I said on Monday night with Dor last night, I think his break-in was like 7 or 8 last week, and it's 8 again this week. No Gerbo, no Tokiaho, no Tommy Turbo. I think that he played 80 last week. I think there's a real chance that Jazz could play 80 again this week. He's just been terrific. I think Ola Kawatu is probably one that we need to potentially touch on. Cord, he's 30 points last week.
Yeah, it was average,
not really good at all. But the thing I take away from it is he's not being picked for the Blues, and 30 points. They play all the major bye rounds, not being picked for the Blues at the moment. So I think you've just got to hold as he plays all those major bye rounds. Yep. In terms of that, I don't think Jakey Simpkin, he's been putting in some real good shifts recently, fantasy-wise, but I just think with Lachlan Croker there on the bench, I reckon they'll probably swap roles eventually. in terms of their minutes. Garrick, if you've got him, he's a hold. And I guess an interesting buy is maybe Hopewade if you want to be a bit of a pod. He's been really good thus far for Manly, probably one of their best. So he could be one to get into your side, Cord. But other than that, that's really it fantasy-wise.
Yeah, moving on to the Rabbitohs versus Warriors. And this game is where my buy of the week comes in.
Yes.
Keon Koala-Matangi
Yep.
playing prop, churning out 80 minutes, was a workhorse last week. He is definitely my buy of the week. And I just want to touch on his stats really quickly. Only averaging 52 for the year, but he was put on an edge, obviously, to start. Last week, 81 points in 80 minutes, 49 tackles, 4 tackle busts, 286 metres carrying the footy. The week before, 56, 63, 52. He's going to get you 50 points, plays around 15. Very cheap for his output, 678K. He is definitely the one to buy for me this week. If you've got someone like a Brimson, I'd be trading him straight to Koala-Matangi if you've got the cash. Other than that, mate, Latrell Mitchell's been named to back up like the rest of them. And for the Waz, Aaron Clark, he continues to go well. James Fisher-Harris returns from suspension. Mitchie Barnett has been named to back up, but hasn't Aaron Clark been good?
Aaron Clark's been phenomenal. 61 points, I believe it was last week, but he's just been so consistent. And look, the weather on the weekend was awful in that Warriors Raiders game on Sunday afternoon. So potentially with some better conditions, hopefully on Sunday afternoon at a core, that Aaron Clark could get a lot better because the minutes were, he didn't play as many minutes as he has, but that's probably a good thing. He still churned out a good score and played a few less minutes. So can't complain there. Look, otherwise for the Waz, I think RTS is one to monitor over the coming weeks. Outside of that, I don't really think that there's any other fantasy relevancy there. For the Rabbitohs, though, that this is where there's some fantasy players, like you said, called Keon Koala-Matangi is definitely, if not by the week, definitely up there. And his second row and friend of the All Out podcast, Ewan Aiken, mixed pod from a couple of weeks ago, he has been outstanding. So, look, I think that those two guys are up there for, top 3 buys for this week. I've had a lot of people send DMs in regards to Aiken getting dual, but I think he needs to play one more game.
Yeah, one more game center.
So I don't think he's going to get the dual, unfortunately, in this next DPP update. So that's a bit unfortunate. But outside of that, I think Humphreys is definitely one that could be a buy soon. Not just yet, but I think soon. Outside of that, Cord, look, Latrell should go well again. Hubner, if you've still got Hubner, you can definitely hold on to him because he is starting.
He's a hold now, round 15 as well.
But look, South are going to have – the only issue I think, if you want me to touch on, is just with the likes of Koala-Matangi and Aiken and whatnot, is just basically players coming back for South because they've had a fair few players out and those guys coming back. But I know Bennett really likes Keon on the edge, but I think from what he saw last week, I think he realizes that he's got to be in the middle. So if it's not starting at prop, it could be at lock. So, hopefully we see if you pick up Keon Koala-Matangi, you want him playing in the middle.
Yeah, 100%. Nothing really else news-wise for the Panthers Eels game as well. Sorry, moving on to that one.
Yeah, no.
All the stars are returning. Edwards, To'o, Cleary, Yo Martin for the Panthers, and obviously Moses and Lomax for the Eels. Other than that, look, I'm really not seeing much else fantasy-wise for them.
Well, Penasini's not named due to the HIA suffered last week. So I think Joash Papali made his debut last week and played like 79 minutes because Penasini went off in the first couple. Well. Yeah, he played really well. Definitely not a buy unless you're looking for potential like a red dot or hoping that someone goes down. Lomax, I think we wait till after Origin. Sam Rani's an interesting one. He has performed really well when he's played for Para. Look, 47 last week, break even of 7 this week.
Scored two tries though.
Yeah, it's just my concern with him is that I don't know if I don't think he's in the starting 13 when Penasini's back, I think he moves probably back to that like bench role. So yeah, I don't really think he's one to pick up, but Iongi's been a great hold for those that have held on. In terms of Penrith, look, Liam Henry's out suspended, and Paul Alamotti has actually been dropped, which I find surprising, especially with my no personal roasting for this guy, but fantasy-wise, he's just an absolute killer for my Thomas Jenkins. But I don't know how Casey McLean keeps his spot over Paul Alamotti. Alamotti's been a great servant for Penrith over the last couple of years. So that is very interesting. Other than that, it's good to see those Panthers players, those Origin players being named to back up. Like you and I discussed, Cord, we've touched on multiple times throughout the season that those players were going to back up with how they've started the
100%.
season and their record. Outside of that, Riley Smith, Cord, I think it might be a bit too late, unfortunately, to pick him up. Look, he's 499K, break even of 19. He scored 53 on the weekend. But the problem is the Eels don't play the next two major bye rounds. So they only play that first bye round. So unfortunately, even like Jackie Williams has been really good as well. But yeah, unless you've got really good coverage in both those positions, just with their major bye round coverage, I wouldn't be getting in any Eels players.
Moving on to the Roosters and Raiders, the last game of the round. Collins, Lenu, Watson, Toya, Crichton. Good list of players there, all named to back up on Sunday. Egan Butcher and Fiketti goes back to the bench. And for the Raiders, after 12 games on the bench, Owen Paddy will start this week in place of suspended hooker Tom Starling. Hudson Young comes back after Origin in the second row. And other than that, Danny Levi has been added to the interchange as a backup hooker. Look, Zach Hosking only got 37 on the weekend. Not too concerned with his output there.
Weather was awful. I think he'll bounce back.
I think he'll bounce back as well.
Good thing was the minutes there from Hosking. So I think we should see some good minutes potentially again with Hudson Young coming back from Origin. But it'll be interesting to see how many minutes Young plays in Origin 1. But another good thing is, Cord, is this game is the very late game on Sunday. So the latest game possible. So I think unless any of these players pick up a niggle or whatever like that, I think it's very likely that we see all these players play as per se, like you said, we were touching on earlier with Payne Haas, with that, they're playing on the Saturday night. That one extra day could go a long way.
Yep.
Yeah, I think fantasy-wise to touch on, Cord, Marky Mark's just been terrific. Not only just for us, but for many owners that picked up Marky Mark. He's been absolutely terrific, back on the wing, so that's good to see. If you still got Toya, definitely hold him. He's got that low break even after his couple of good weeks that he strung together, 16 break even for him. If you got Teddy or you want to get in Teddy, feel free to go ahead. The Roosters don't play next week, but they do play all the major bye rounds, so that's another bonus for them. Otherwise, I wouldn't say there's anyone really. I know Steep played really well, but like I touched on last night, he's just not going to get the minutes when with these big players coming back from Origin. Canberra-wise, look out, Jamal Fogarty, Cord. He continues to gobble and push along. Horsburgh didn't have the greatest game last week, but I think what we've seen is on a larger sample size, he's definitely a hold for me. Horsburgh is definitely not a sell as he's not playing Origin. Potentially, maybe when it comes around to those couple of bye rounds, so round 15, because I don't believe the Raiders play in that major bye round in round 15. So definitely could be one you could sell if he's starting to fall off. But otherwise, Cord, I really think that these, the likes of Hoskins. Look, Smithies is another one. Hoskins and Tarpany, look, they didn't set... Tarpany was pretty solid, but, like we just touched on, Hoskins didn't have his best performance, but he'll bounce back.
Yeah.
Smithies is the one to watch out for. I just can't pick his minutes. He's played really well the last couple of weeks. So it's really hard to tell if Smithies is going to actually get... just back on the Raiders, they don't play round 15, but they do play round 18. So they play 2, but they've got that weird schedule. So as we've looked at, we've got a bit of Mr. 305 coming on. So shout out to Mr. 305. As
What the hell just happened there?
Yeah, well, my computer just started playing music there, Cord. But otherwise, outside of that, brother, that is really it for that Raiders Roosters game. Not really that much fantasy relevancy there, brother.
Yeah, no, nothing at all. Look, that pretty much sums up TLT as well. The boys will be back for buy, hold, sell during the week after Origin. Go the Queenslanders. I'm sure you'll get up.
Yeah, I think we'll probably do. Yeah, I think you and I will probably do buy, hold, sell. I think called on Thursday, I reckon. Just due to the fact it probably I'm going to the game tomorrow night, as well as the fact that it's probably better for us. We might find out some news. There could be some injuries in Origin. So I think it's going to be more beneficial for everyone if we can delay it till a Thursday. I know it's one less day for everyone to watch it, but I think we can give a lot better and more precise information to the listeners and watchers. So, look, we will see you for, round 13's buy, hold, and sell. Go the Mighty Maroons.
Yeah.
May the best team win, and we will see you for round 13's buy, hold, and sell.
See ya.
Catch up.